all things. And this afternoon, we have with us on the line the Honorable Minister Aubyn Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment, and Commerce. And we're going to talk about the money. Minister Hill.
I'm listening to you, Jeffrey. Sure, ready to go.
Welcome to the program.
And since you quote scripture, I want to quote the other one that says, "It's not money that is bad, but the love of money is the root of all evil." So yeah. Make sure you get as much money, but don't love it too much.
so I try to let folks understand that it's when you idolize the money, that's the problem.
Right. Indeed.
But the utilization of the money really answers all things, as Ecclesiastic 10 and 19 says. And I know that you are about the money. You're about the money for Jamaica and how you grow the economy and create prosperity for all the people of Jamaica. Now, you have a distinguished background. Harvard graduate, served in the Middle East in banking. You're a banker. You served as a diplomat to India. Harvard educated. Tell us a little bit more about your background, your childhood, your schooling, and your professional life, so the audience get to know who Minister Aubyn Hill is.
And Jeff, your audience is primarily the Jamaican diaspora, isn't it?
Yes.
There are other people who listen to you, but the diaspora is big in your listening group.
Absolutely. We are very large in the Jamaican community, but we reaches other people within the Caribbean. We are known as the voice of the Caribbean, but certainly we have people from other backgrounds that enjoy reggae music and the entertainment. So we entertain, we educate, we inform, and we empower people. That's what we do here at WZPP, WZOP Radio, reaching folks across the state of Florida and across the world with information, entertainment, education, and empowerment.
Well, given that's your reach, many people don't understand when I start from St. Elizabeth.
Yes.
Because I'm from St. Elizabeth, I went to Topville Primary School, and really, as I tell you, Jeff, you hear some of the other places.
I'm hearing you, my minister. It's a little choppy, but we're hearing you.
But it was at the primary school. There was the wife of the headmaster, Mrs. Reed, was my main teacher, and she made sure that I and a group of other young Jamaicans were stretched. She got us all ready and sent me off to Monroe College, sent the girls off to Hampton and elsewhere. And so my high school was at Monroe College, which is, again, in St. Elizabeth. And after that, I went on to the University of Miami. Did enough coursework there in 3 years to have had enough for 2 degrees. But I graduated with a bachelor's in marketing and economics.
Wow.
Then I left. I was student by the president at the University of Miami. Then I left straight from the University of Miami to Harvard Business School, where I did my MBA. Left there, went to Wall Street to work with a bank in Wall Street, a bank that really did business in 33 countries around the world at the time, American Express Bank. And then from there, I went across the world, worked in 9 different countries, including Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, elsewhere, Italy. And then I have now done business. I stopped counting the countries that I've done business in and visited when I reach 120. So I'm still going. So that's quickly my early life and education professional background. And now you can turn to Jamaica.
So as I turn to Jamaica, with that kind of background that you have, you could make a lot of money. I mean, what drives you to go back to Jamaica and to help Jamaica? Because I know you can make a lot more money in private industry and private sector than you would in the government.
In fact, I'm glad you put it that way, because we just had issues here about the government ministers and members of parliament make. And yes, we don't, the government cannot at all compete with the private sector. And that became very clear when all this discussion happened and the salaries of the big banks here in Jamaica come out. And I ran the biggest bank in Jamaica, National Commercial Bank of Jamaica, before I went into government. So it is fair to say that, yes, there's no way the government could compete with the private sector to pay somebody like me. So I have to choose, and I choose to come back home to run NCB then. But I also then subsequently choose to go into government, and because I want to have the privilege of helping to make policies that will make the lives of so many more Jamaicans better. And I've found that in the place, in a spot in the cabinet of the most honorable Andrew Holness. And so I serve in the Andrew Holness administration, working with my other colleagues in cabinet to make this a much better place and a much more prosperous country than we've known in the past, and a much more prosperous country than we are today. That's where we're going.
All right, because I'm thinking, man, if you were here and with that background, you're probably making $1 million a year, at least.
That would probably still be an understatement.
Oh, see what I'm talking about.
Look at what the banks are paid here. The big banks, banking is a very very profitable sector to be in if you're doing it right.
So, Minister, now you're back, and I know that you have traveled a bit to help with the economic growth of Jamaica. And when I think of you, I think of a former Commerce Secretary,
Ron Brown.
You finished the thought, because you know what Ron Brown did under the Clinton administration to grow the economy of the United States by traveling the world to open doors. In fact, when he died, he was on a mission to Kosovo.
He was indeed. To a very fine sector of commerce.
Yes, to find doors for us to sell our goods and services, which is what you have been doing since you've taken up this post, and even before that. Ron Brown basically helped the Clinton administration create economic growth that was unprecedented at the time and lift so many Americans up as a result of it. That's a whole nother story for us to get into, but we won't, because this today is about you and what you're doing to help Jamaica. So I'm going to start with the economy of Jamaica. Tell us a little bit about Jamaica's gross domestic product, which is basically the output, economic output of the country. Where does it stand today in terms of our GDP?
We're in the 16 billion US dollars as a number. What is of even more interest and of even more import is that in 2013, as recently, Jeff, as in Dale. 2013.
So you have Dale Holness.
Jeffrey's just listening, Minister. I'm just listening to you, Minister.
Okay. So Dale, you're the politician too.
I lost the election by 5 votes, Minister. So I'm now in the private sector doing consulting for business, and also consulting for good candidates for office.
Right. Very good. So what is of interest about Jamaican economy is, as recently as 2013, and in terms of economic movement, that's a short period of time, Jamaica had a debt to GDP position of 147%. We were one of the worst performing economy in the world at the time. In fact, economic writers were charitable. They thought they were being charitable when they called Jamaica's economy at the time, a basket case. Now, from that point to today, 10 years later, listen to this. We have moved our debt to GDP from a high of 147% to down to 77%, maybe 74%, and going down to 60%. The trajectory is downward, and we've done it really quite spectacularly, even if I say so myself, because we've gone through a pandemic, and through that pandemic, we have not raised any taxes in 7 years, no new taxes in 7 years. We have avoided borrowing in that period of time. We had to spend a great deal of money in the pandemic, money that we didn't plan on spending. And yet we didn't raise any taxes or went to the, we didn't, nor did we go to the market to borrow more money. And yet, coming out of the pandemic, we're the only country in the Western Hemisphere that could put these three metrics together. One, our debt to GDP is lower now than before the pandemic, or GDP growth is higher now than before the pandemic. So debt to GDP, and then our unemployment figure is at a historic low of 4.5%. Therefore, our unemployment is lower now than before the pandemic, and at a historic low of 4.5%, Dale. And given that we're working in an emerging market, we are therefore near full employment. In fact, because we haven't gone to market and our economy has done so well, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was in New York and I had to do an interview with Bloomberg, a couple of interviews, in fact. And I outlined where we are in Jamaica, and they're asking me, which is not a question for me, really, it's a question for the Minister of Finance, Dr. Nigel Clark, when is Jamaica coming back to market with new bonds? Because they want to get Jamaican paper. And they said to me that in the emerging market world, Jamaica is at the top of the pile that investors want to invest in. Now, look at that. 10 years ago, basket case, nobody would lend us any money. But because of the economic management undertaken by Andrew Holness and his cabinet, the most honorable Andrew Holness, our Prime Minister, and his cabinet, we're in a place where people are now saying to Jamaica, we would love to lend you money because you are the best performing emerging market country we see on the horizon. So that's the kind of change that we've done in this 6-7 year period that the Andrew Holness administration has been in.
So, Minister Hill, you know, I'm gonna chat look apart because I hear people say, "I make up all of them things there," and so you know, they're verifiable data and numbers and statistics that you're giving us. That is not to be made up. It's not something that you pull out of a hat. They're international banking institution, for example, the credit rating agencies, one of which just recently upgraded Jamaica's credit rating because you're doing so well, which means you can now borrow money at even less interest rate than you were before this upgrade. And for folks out there, I want you to understand this. You have credit, especially here in America. People look at you and decide if they're going to lend you money or not lend you money,
Absolutely.
and at what interest rate based on your credit.
Credit rating.
What, and if you owe too much money, if your credit cards are all full, they're going to say, no, we're not lending you. And if we're going to lend you, we're going to lend you a 20-something, 30% interest rate.
That's right.
And there's data that is utilized to determine that. Similarly, as is being done for Jamaica with your credit rating. Now let's talk a little bit about the perspective of future growth, because I read something from the Observer the last couple of days on the trajectory of Jamaica's economy. There was a bit of a downgrade from 2.2% increase to 1.8. Yet that was just under what the U.S. would experience going forward for 2024 as they projected, and other countries were way below that, some actually having no growth at all, some negative growth. Tell us where Jamaica stands now in terms of the perspective for future growth for Jamaica's economy and how it ranks with the rest of the world, if you may.
All right. What I want to do, apart from the fact that we are leading in the hemisphere, as I just said to you, you mentioned a credit rating agencies, not just anyone. It's Standard and Poor's,
The biggest.
and the biggest, and they have been rating us now for 24 years.
Mhm.
And just recently, they changed our rating upwards
Yes.
from B plus to double B minus, which is just a little bit below investment grade. Another couple of years, we continue on this trajectory, we will be an investment grade country. However, our economic growth has been good this year so far. We are looking down the road, and the world has very many changes quite quickly. We have the war in Ukraine. Now you have a war in the Middle East between Hamas and Israel, and those things could affect oil prices. A big driver of inflation in the world, including your own country,
Mm-hmm.
is the price of oil. And so we have to watch what's happening there. We're trying to find arrangements that will get us out of the vagaries and variability of oil prices, because it's dictated by OPEC and their colleagues. So we want to make sure that we have that option open for us. But our economic growth trajectory is good. Tourism is very strong. Tourism is stronger now than before the pandemic. We have had a really bumper summer this year. Minister Ed Bartlett works constantly and all over the world to make sure that remains a reality for us. But also, last year, a big American bank, won't bother to name them here, but if you can take 3 guesses and you'll find the right one, looked at a bunch of countries around the world that were investment grade and around our size, or a little bigger in some instances. And of those countries, Jamaica was the Jamaican paper, even though it was not investment grade, like say Mexico or other countries that might have been investment grade. The Jamaican paper was much more respected at that time because of the way we had handled our debt, or deep debt and growth. And so we were by far the best. And you had countries like Romania, you had countries, the only ones that were better than us in that group would have been China and Indonesia, maybe one other, but we were topping out everybody else. Every other country in the Caribbean, CARICOM or not, we were a better paper in the eyes of investors. So Jamaica has not just the cachet of being wonderful sun-stained land, great athletes, but a country that is managing its economy very well, getting growth in place through tourism, the business processing, outsourcing business, or mining is getting back in place, and we're pushing more than ever. This ministry is pushing more than ever the export of goods and services to bigger markets, because we cannot become a wealthy country just selling to 3 million, only 3 million people that have a relatively low per capita GDP. And since there are no countries near us that we're contiguous to that we can invade, we have to go and negotiate new markets. We have to go and find new markets and new customers overseas. So, since this year, I've led 6 trade missions with 97 different companies, and 133 different people have gone with me on business missions to find new markets and to find new customers. We're going to have to export substantially more to become a wealthy country.
So it seems you've really adapted the Ron Brown Secretary of State, Secretary of
Absolutely.
Secretary of
Secretary of
Commerce.
Commerce.
You know, he could have been Secretary of State, but he declined that and chose instead to be Secretary of Commerce. Minister, when we're going to take a break in about a minute, but I want you to talk a little bit about targeted industries that you're looking to grow in Jamaica. And I know agriculture is one of them that you didn't just mention. That I know that there's some investments being made to build a better infrastructure. So
I want to talk about that and logistics when we come back.
Exactly. So that is what I want us to look to come back and talk a little bit about. And then also I want you to talk about people, talk to people in the diaspora and those who are listening as to where they can invest in Jamaica, how they can invest in Jamaica, and maybe some contact information, websites, or the like. So I'm giving you a little prep, a little homework, but you certainly are a banker because you talk about paper, Jamaican paper. So for the audience who don't understand that banking term, it is basically when you borrow money, you sign a note to borrow the money. That's the paper. The bond is actually a loan. Most people don't understand what a bond is. The bond is a loan. So it's like the mortgage on your house, except that when you do it for government, it's called a bond, and the signature on that form is called the paper that you're selling. People are buying. We'll come back on the other side of the break.
Listening to WZOP 92.7 LP FM.
We're not the airline.
As your Prime Minister, I can't make it be all about power. As your Prime Minister, it has to be about fulfilling your needs. That's what it has to be about.
and death rates of all cancers in women. We also know that many women are not well informed about gynecologic cancer symptoms or normalize them. Black women are at a particular high risk for aggressive types of endometrial cancer, yet are underrepresented and studied. In South Florida, we have a diverse group of Black women with U.S.-born and Caribbean-born women, so we hypothesize that they vary in symptom understanding and recognition. The focus groups are centered around postmenopausal bleeding in Black and Caribbean women to assess perception of bleeding symptoms. We are recruiting both English-speaking and Creole-speaking Haitian women for their own focus groups. We want to know your thoughts about how bleeding could potentially impact your life or the lives of your family and friends. This will help us know where we can start to make changes and how we approach teaching and advocacy around this problem. And this is a 1-hour focus group of about 6 women, which is compensated in a brief questionnaire to obtain demographic information. Please give us a call at 305-243-5434 to understand if you are eligible to participate in those focus groups. If no one answers, please leave your full name and phone number and we will get back to you. You can also email us at wbelizaire@miami.edu. That is WBELIZAIRE
It's old school throwback Thursday.
Welcome back to the program here on WZB and WZOP. We're speaking to Minister of Commerce and Industry, Senator Aubyn Hill, along with Mr. Dale Holness. Mr. Holness, over to you, sir.
Yes, so we're back here on the Voice of the Caribbean on Thursdays and Fridays, 1 to 2. We get on to Let Us Talk Money. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes 10:19, food maketh a feast, wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things. I know the one that is often quoted is the one about money is the root of all evil, which is a misquote actually. It's the love of the idolation of money that is a problem. We're on the Voice of the Caribbean radio. If you haven't called your friends yet to tell them to tune in, do so now. They can listen to us from anywhere in the world if they go to wzppradio.com, wzppradio.com, and they can download the app and listen from wherever they are in the world. But we're also broadcasting from the studio here to radio stations across Florida, in Miami, 96.1 FM, in Fort Lauderdale, 92.7 FM, in Hollywood, North Miami area, 102.3 FM, in Tampa, St. Petersburg, 1590 AM, in Vero Beach and the Treasure Coast up to Port St. Lucie area, 105.3 FM, and in the Orlando area, Orlando, Winter Garden, Lake Mary's 99.7 FM. And of course, I&I Radio, and you can go to YouTube at Jeffrey Tavares, and you will find us there also broadcasting live. Minister, we're back with you. So call your friends and tell them to tune in, because we're going to talk about how you can make some money now investing in Jamaica. What are the areas of opportunity for you so you can make some money and not just see problems, but see opportunities.
Indeed.
Minister Aubyn Hill. Honorable Minister
Yes,
Aubyn
sir.
Hill. Yes.
I'm here.
So we came out and we're going to talk about agriculture, because I read some things that you're putting an irrigation system in the St. Elizabeth area to ensure that farmers have access to water for their crops. And I know that there's a big hype around cannabis, the ganja, and that opportunity that the world has seems to latch onto. So if you would give us a little backdrop on the agriculture, and I know the agricultural minister would probably come on at some point in time, but you're the money man. You're about where the money is made in these industries and in these opportunities. So if you tell us a little bit about where Jamaica is going with that, please.
Yeah, you're right. Minister Floyd Green, who is from St. Elizabeth as well, and represents the southwestern constituency in St. Elizabeth, is now handling the water issue. He's inherited a wonderful project, actually, that the French government. I worked on that project when I was in the Prime Minister's Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Minister Green now has it to implement a really fabulous irrigation scheme that will use solar energy to pump the water of the Black River up to Monroe College, and then gravity feed it down to from Pedro Plains to Bull Savannah, and it will be easy gravity feed. So we're looking forward to that project. The Prime Minister announced it in his budget speech in March, April of this year. So that's where we're going. But I want
that would be very impactful. You know, I visited Israel, and you know, it hardly rains there. But what they've done is they've basically used what they call gray water that's gone through the treatment system.
I've seen that whole system in Israel myself.
From wastewater, and it's extensive what they've done with it. I saw so many strong banana planting plants all over Israel. I was saying, wait a minute, this is not the Caribbean. They got a lot of bananas and stuff here. So they have become
oranges, strawberries, of the sizes I haven't seen anywhere else.
Because they're using
and sweetness.
Because they're using that water system to irrigate. And by the way, I visited a desalination plant where they actually take the initial water out of the sea, treat it, desalinate it, and then send it through to be used, the first use. And then at the end, they treat that water again to bring certain level of purity to it so that it can be used for agricultural production after it comes through the sewer system. I mean, and we have natural rivers in Jamaica all over. So I commend the government.
So we're going to use the Black River to do exactly that and really irrigate that part of Jamaica that you know very well, Dale, as the breadbasket of Jamaica.
Yes.
But I want to switch a little bit to where the diaspora can invest in Jamaica.
Yes.
And usually as a banker or as a consultant that I became afterwards, I start with a market. Well, in those travels that I mentioned earlier, Dale, I have found that in America, in Canada, in Britain, every single place I go, they ask for ackee.
Mm-hmm.
One of your biggest seller of foods in the United States, won't call the name now, but a very, very big name, it was looking to have, 20 40-foot containers of ackee per month. We couldn't supply anything near that. Then there's Scotch bonnet pepper. Then there's callaloo. Then there's breadfruit flour. Then there's the sheen flour. There's sweet potato flour. And all those have mangoes, avocados, all those big orchard crops have markets that we cannot fulfill. I am encouraging, frankly, beseeching diaspora persons who constantly say, oh, we want more ackee, we want more. Come home, get 500 acres of land, plant breadfruit trees, it will take, and ackee trees, and it will take a few years to grow. In the meantime, you grow red peas in there. You know, we import, I believe, about $250 million US dollars worth of red peas per year. We eat a lot of red peas in rice and peas.
Wow.
So there is the market there. So diaspora people, when you hear about Jamaica, yes, come down and have a vacation, but come down and invest. And it's a business. You're going to have irrigation. You have to have proper pesticides because people don't want you to spray their stuff with all kinds of pesticides that will harm them. So you have to be careful. You have to have agronomists. You have to run a business.
Mm-hmm.
But the market, when you're starting a business, the thing you want most is a lucrative market. The diaspora in the United States, and now it's crossing over. Other people in the diaspora in the United States want these Jamaican foods. We can't produce enough, but don't just come and produce. Come and agro-process between St. Catherine and Westmoreland. You can't find two cold storage areas that are commercial. So there's a business there to get into the cold storage of products, because the mangoes come in June, July, but you really don't use them until the tourists come in December, January, February, March. So you have to process them and store them. So there's along the entire changes, supply chain, there is business to be had. Diaspora people with money come home and invest in the best economic story in the Caribbean and Latin America today.
So, Minister Hill, my son is in his first year of college at Ohio State University, and the degree he's going for is a business degree in agriculture. And at first I said, well, where you want to go? Grow ganja? And of course, we had a big laugh about that. But the agricultural business is a huge business.
People are going to have to eat there, and the place to grow is less and less.
Yes. So there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for business development. I think America has set a standard for the world in terms of producing agricultural products.
Commercially, and big commercial arrangements.
Exactly. We feed the world in so many areas. We actually tried to starve the Russians many years ago during Carter administration by withholding grain to them, and they went out and started doing their own grain production. So we starved them. But there's opportunities out there. Minister, would you give us a contact website or phone number who someone may call, especially on this piece with the agricultural opportunity that exists for Jamaica? Because folks here may have some money, they might have some relatives that call them and say, send me some money. Now they can say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to allow
We're
you.
going to come down and invest with you.
Exactly. We're not going to give you a fish. We're going to teach you how to fish and help you fish.
How to fish. That's right.
So
and they are so lucrative. So here's what you go. I'm going to give you an email that that is shared between my technical assistant who really runs my office and me, and it's easy. It's Aubyn, AUBYN .management, one word, AUBYN .management, MANAGEMENT at gmail.com.
Okay.
And so that's an email you can know. Here is a number. It's a number for my assistant. And that's 876-520-3810. Serious investors can call us and we'll put them to Jampro. Of course, you can always go to the Jampro website. Most people know Jampro. You can always go to the Jampro website. And you can use that email that comes into my office, and we will then direct you to where you have to go, get you involved with the Ministry of Agriculture. And please tell your audience, do not come down here and start fudging around and then get in trouble. This ministry has 20 agencies: Jampro, Jamaica Business Development Corporation, the Company Office of Jamaica, the Trade Board, JIPO, which is Jamaica Intellectual Property Office. All of these agencies are in my ministry to help you to establish business in Jamaica. This is why, while our official name is the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, I have sub-branded it to Jamaica's Business Ministry. We're here to help you do business. So don't go and ask your friend and then 6 months later I hear that you lose your money and you get into trouble. No. Come straight to us. We will guide you how to go. And if there's red tape, you tell me. My job is to try and cut out the red tape for you.
Very proactive, Minister Aubyn Hill. So they may send an email to aubyn.management@gmail.com. Or the phone number is 876-520-3810. If you'd like to invest and make some money, here's the opportunity for you to do so as we talk money, and let us talk money.
And don't just go ask a friend and get into trouble. Use your official line. You can still talk to your friends, but make sure you get good guidance from the ministry.
Okay, I'm really so grateful for that. So Minister, the other area that comes to mind is in a more passive way. Many people are investing in the stock market in Jamaica,
yes,
which basically helps to generate the capital that business need. And also there are a bunch of IPOs that often comes out that have done well. I spoke with someone yesterday who actually has encouraged me to put a couple of dollars in the stock market. And one particular company they mentioned had a 5 to PE profit ratio.
I encourage investment on the stock market. I do not act as an investment advisor. We have lots of investment bankers who will help you do that. But certainly, our stock market in a 5-year period, 2 of those years, Bloomberg said that we were the best run stock market, the most profitable and well-run stock market in the world. So we're not big, but we're very capable. Lots of big companies from Trinidad list here because we have no currency restrictions. You bring in clean money, take out clean money. You don't have to know me or the finance minister or the bank manager. You deal this transaction, and our banks are well run and strong.
Now there's and I don't know it offhand. There's a website for the Jamaica stock market that you can look up, folks, to make.
Just look for Jamaica Stock Exchange,
yeah,
JSE, and you'll find the website.
Jamaica Stock Exchange, and you can
That's
go
right.
there, and from there, they will probably have the companies that are listed
All
trade.
they're listed there. You can see what you want to trade. You can see the numbers. You can see the financial statements. You can do your own analysis before you invest.
Okay. So Minister Hill, we've got about 10 minutes left, so we have a little bit of time. But tell me, what is you believe your biggest accomplishments since you've taken this office? What have you done that stands out?
You know, I tell you the numbers that drove me to be where I am in terms of the ministry's mandate. When I came in, about 2 or 3 months after I came in, I saw the first figures from Statin. Statin is our statistical institute that gives us our national numbers, and they just brought out the trade numbers for 2021. Well, what I saw there, Dale, is that we had imported $5.975 billion worth of goods and services. We exported a mere measly $1.441 billion worth of goods and services, and therefore the trade balance was $4.534 billion. Now, if you keep doing that over a long time, no matter how good you are, you're going to go bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, Walter Riston, who used to run Citibank, says he's never seen a country to go bankrupt, but some of us have come close to it.
Mm-hmm.
What then I said, hey, give me the trade figures from 1960. We became independent in 1962. So I got 61 years of figure in 2022. And Dale, of those 61, this is why I'm taking this route to tell you what my greatest accomplishment is. Of those 61 years of trade figures, only 1 year we had a positive trade balance. And Dale, it was in 1966.
Mm. That's
how far back ago that we had a positive trade balance. Now, I told you early in this interview how the Andrew Holness administration have been, really relentless in bringing our debt to GDP down to a manageable position and continue to go to a place where we think it should be at that, and that's 60%. We're now at 74% from 147. So we've done a good job at that. But nobody, if you think about your friends in the diaspora, they don't talk about exports. No. They just talk about what we can get from Jamaicans. Well, since I came in, my main achievement is to raise the recognition that we're never going to become a wealthy country. Selling to 3 million people, only 3 million people who have a relatively, up to now, relatively low per capita GDP. We're looking to raise that as the country grows. But even if we raise it to double or 3 times what it is now, it's still only 3 million people. So all the rich countries in the world, and many of them are small, they have been really big exporters. Israel, Singapore, Liechtenstein, Liechtenstein exports a lot of financial services, but they're exporters. Leave out the oil-producing ones like Qatar and Kuwait and so on, and Saudi Arabia, because that's a different story. But you're going to have to be a major exporter. Germany came out of the war and poverty by becoming the exporter to the world. And then, since 2020, China has become a much richer country because they export so much. So my main achievement is to raise that temperature, but I did more than that. As I said to you, if we're going to get exports, I had to take businessmen out of their offices, get out of my office, and go to new markets and to new and get new customers. And many of the 97 companies that have traveled with me in this 1 year to 1 year, from October to this October, 97 companies, 133 different people have gone with me. Out of that, many of them are new. Some of them are micro, some are medium-sized companies, a few are big ones, but we want them all, every single company that does anything in Jamaica, whether you make radio content like you do or anything else, we must be exporting so that we can become a richer country. And if there's one thing that I've achieved is to raise that recognition. Now, I can't change 60 years of negative trade balance in even 6 years, but we have to start and we have to keep pushing and don't let up on that objective. And if there's anything I've done, there are other things that we've done. The main thing I think that stands out would be to say to Jamaican businesses, get out of your office, go overseas and find new markets and export to them.
So I know also that you now have the ability to get FDA approval for products coming out of Jamaica. Can you explain that and how that works?
One of the 20 agencies that we have in this ministry is one called Jamaica National Accreditation Council. And what JANAC does is JANAC actually provides accreditation, having them themselves being associated and approved by two accreditation bodies internationally and more recently the FDA. So JANAC now is one of 4 bodies in the world. 2 of those bodies are in the United States, one in Asia and JANAC in Jamaica, that have authority from the FDA to accredit labs to test food products going into the United States. So if you take in your food product from Jamaica and your lab is accredited by JANAC under the FDA protocol, you don't have to, if you arrive in New Orleans or Miami or New York, you don't have to go through FDA testing. Now that's a major development for Jamaica because JANAC serves 10 other countries in the Caribbean region, Guyana, Trinidad, lots of others. And so we are leading, again, Jamaica, leading in this area, and it's a real feather in our cap that the FDA could see JANAC as being responsible and capable and scientifically capable enough to carry out this program. And of the 4 bodies, including the 2 in the United States, there are 11 protocols that the FDA has, and we're the only one that has 10 of those protocols assigned to us, and we're working on the 11th.
Wow, that's a huge thing because now
it's a big thing.
When someone has food products developed in Jamaica, that's a seamless export to the largest market in the world, the United States, and they're very strict on FDA approval. Exactly. So when you buy stuff in the store, usually you'll see on there FDA approved.
That's right.
That's a big deal for any, even if you produce goods, even if you produce products here in America, you have to go through that FDA approval for you to get it on the shelf in the stores. Now, Minister, we have about 2 minutes left. Let me at least get you to give that information out again. If folks, if you have some money that you really want to invest and you really want to help Jamaica, there's an opportunity here for you to reach out to the Honorable Minister Aubyn Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment, and Commerce in Jamaica. Would you give your information out again, Minister? And I think we had one caller. If you're interested in really investing and doing some business with Jamaica, the minister is going to give you the information to reach out to his office. Minister Hill, go ahead.
Right. For direct investment in a to build a company and produce stuff, you contact me at Aubyn, AUBYN.management, MANAGEMENT, one word, at gmail.com. So Aubyn.management@gmail.com. A number you can reach directly. This is a WhatsApp number, and it's the number for my technical assistant, Ms. Cadian Jonas, and that number is 876-520-3810. All serious investors contact us. We will then guide you as to where to go. And of course, you can invest on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. You go to their website or to Jamper website, and they'll help you.
Minister Hill, it's time has been short, but I'm truly grateful for you being on with us and educating and informing and empowering the public to be able to do business and make money. Thank you.
Dale, thank you so much, and I appreciate your time and the courtesy you paid me.
Thank you very much, Minister. All the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
Sunday at Blue Martini in the Galleria Mall.
Enjoy happy hour from 4 p.m. until 7 p.m.
Enjoy live reggae music with the Visions Band from 8 p.m. until midnight. And dance music by DJ Mikey Mike. It's a vibe. A cool, chill vibes.